Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining the Phoenix Virtual Town Hall for Unemployment Benefits. I'm Julie Hedrick. I'm the APFA National President. And before we get started today, we're going to go around the room and have everyone introduce themselves, their name, and also what they do here at APFA for the membership. David?
Hello, I'm David Arnett. I am a contract and scheduling rep and also an unemployment specialist.
Good afternoon. My name is Brian. I'm the APFA National Contract Chair and a DCA-based flight attendant.
Hello, everyone. Hey, Phoenix. This is Eric Harris, National Treasurer. I'm Philly-based, and welcome.
Hi, guys. I'm Kelly Hagan. I'm one of your elected negotiators based in Chicago. Hi, Phoenix.
Hi, Phoenix. My name is Margot Nikitas, and I'm the in-house counsel here at APFA.
Hi, everyone. I'm Josh Black, APFA National Secretary, Phoenix-based flight attendant. Good to see you.
Thank you, everyone. And we'd like to welcome you today. The purpose of today's meeting is to hopefully answer your state-specific questions for unemployment insurance. We know we have many flight attendants who are out on leave, some who've taken the VF, and also our furloughed flight attendants. And we're here today to help you with your unemployment claims in any way we can. We have Kelly and David, who are our resident experts who've been working on unemployment claims for the past 6 months. They've been very successful in helping some of our flight attendants with the appeals process and helping them to get $1.8 million back in claims for benefits for the flight attendants and money that they deserved. So thank you, Kelly and David, for all your help over the past 6 months. Your work is not done yet. We have approximately 14,000 flight attendants out at this time that could be putting in for unemployment benefits. So I know it's a huge job, and we're really happy that you two have taken it on. Thank you so much. The first thing we want to talk about today is, especially if you are a furloughed flight attendant, we want to make sure that you know you need to keep your personal email address as well as your physical current address up to date with the company and with APFA. We're going to show you where to update that with the company. We're going to walk you through that process right now. And why that's so important if you're furloughed is that on Monday, the company will be sending you a personal email that will tell you your calculated amount of hours that you'll be paid out for your furlough pay period. So if you haven't done that, you want to make sure to get that in as soon as possible so that Monday you'll receive that email. So Josh and Brian, you want to walk them through how to find that information on the company website, on JetNet.
Sure. So all you'll need to do is log on to JetNet, and then on the right-hand side, you'll see where it says resources for furloughed team members. You'll click right over there and it'll take you to a new page. Once you're on that page, you'll see on the left-hand side where it says APFA represented flight service team members. Once you click on that bar, there will be several links that populate underneath that. And most importantly, at the very bottom where it says provide your personal email address. You'll want to update this with the company so you can continue to receive important updates in the coming months about returning company property recall, or any other news that AA may be sending out.
Okay, thank you, Brian. And next we want to walk you through how to find all the information that we have on the APFA website that will help you with the unemployment process. So Kelly's going to walk you through what is there and how to find all of it.
Okay, guys, if you go to apfa.org, that is going to be our website. It will start you out on the home page. If you go to the far right hand after logging in, you'll see where it says member resources. Once you click that link, it will take you to the member resource page. Under membership forms, you're going to notice the first hyperlink is update your info. So as Julie had mentioned earlier, that is where you're going to go to update your address, your contact information, your email address with the union. As far as unemployment, if you go under helpful links, you'll see unemployment resources. If you click that, you'll be transported over to our part. The first two hyperlinks are going to be our contact us form as well as our email address, which is unemployment@apfa.org. That is if you have any questions, concerns, need help, David and I will respond to those different formats. The first set of tabs that you'll see is the general unemployment information. If you had the opportunity to review the video that we put out, it was a PowerPoint. Is that better?
Yep.
Okay, thanks. If you had the opportunity to review the PowerPoint video that we put out, it was a very broad overview of just how unemployment works. It was not state specific. This is a deeper dive into that. It has all that information as well as some more explanations on it. Through the different tabs, we've got the different programs, whether it was CARES money, the lost wage assistance program, how it works with leave of absences. We also have the very last tab is a resource tab, which regardless of how you got to unemployment, whether it be through a leave or furlough, this has some really good information for you for filing your claim. So when you're filing your claim in Arizona, there's going to be some information that you need. Some very basic information such as American Airlines address, their phone number, their federal ID number. You can also find this information in the packets that were provided to you by AA, but we tried to keep them here just in a real quick area so that way when you're filing, you'll have it all easily accessible. Some other items that we suggest that you have with you when you do your initial claim is you'll need your social security number. You will need your last day worked. You will also need, most likely, some of your paperless pays or e-pays. And also, if you want direct deposit, have your banking information ready. That way, that process for that initial file claiming will go a little bit smoother for you. Under documents and forms, you will see a lot of information that we've provided for you that you could have found in other places, but we just wanted to put it here for a centralized little launch pad. We've got all the packets for the various leaves, furloughs, VOPs. We've also got some additional documents that are in there that you may need throughout your unemployment process, such as the vacation buyback letter, such as the unemployment letter, which is American stating that in their opinion, you had good cause in selecting whatever program that you took. So that wraps up that portion. If you keep scrolling down, you're going to see some additional tabs that are state specific. So if you don't mind, Josh, can we sneak over to Phoenix? So how we have this set up is the very first hyperlink that you'll see underneath Arizona Phoenix is the actual link to the website of Arizona for you to file your claim. This is also the same area that you will certify. And what a certification is, it is very different from a claim. A claim is, I'm telling the state, hey, my employment has changed and I'm going to need some assistance. So I'm going to file this paperwork with you to see my eligibility and see what benefits I may receive. When you certify, that is you telling the state, I've already filed a claim. I've let you know that my status has changed. I'm going to need money. So now I'm going to raise my hand and say, hey, I'm going to need you guys to pay me what I'm eligible for this week or the last 2 weeks. And you can do all of that through that hyperlink. We've also broken down just some very broad benefits at a glance, just of what your maximum weekly benefit amount that an Arizona claimant could be eligible for, how long it lasts, and also what things are measured against your unemployment, such as severance pay. Under Phoenix Resources, those are just some documents that are also found online through the Arizona Unemployment website, but we just put those there for you just so it would be a little bit quicker so you didn't have to dig through the website. And lastly is your government advocates. These are the elected officials, both on a state and a federal level, that are your elected advocates to help you in the event that you find yourself in a situation with an extended period of having a stalled claim. We have not seen that in Arizona. David and I do track and trend things as they come up through the states, and we haven't had any problems with Arizona. But we, just in the unlikely event that comes up, we wanted to have that resource available to you if we needed to put pressure on legislators to get your claim processed. You may have noticed as we were going and scrolling through these screens that there were some color changes. What those color changes are is that we do update the website. And when we do update the website, we put the date on there, and then we put the updates in a different color. That way, if maybe you looked at it when you filed your claim, and now it's, I don't know, 3-4 months later, and you wanted to troll back through there and see if we made any modifications, that way you didn't have to try to find an Easter egg out of season. It would kind of pop out at you with a different color. So that wraps up the website.
Okay, great. Thank you, Kelly. All right, can we talk about, before we get started on our questions, I know you've been working on some appeals and some other claims. Have you had any issues with Arizona you want to talk about first before we get started?
Kelly, I'm looking at our spreadsheet, and we only have a couple of claimants who wish to backdate their claim, maybe from the earlier PBLOAs that, due to the pandemic, they were not able to file their claim, at the start of the leave. So we do have some requests to backdate the claim, and we only have one other issue, which is the claim was processed as a PUA instead of a regular unemployment claim. And it's important to note that there is a difference. And the difference is that a person who has a PUA is generally somebody who is a gig worker, somebody who is a traveling guitar player or an Uber driver, or some kind of self-contractor. Their wages are not reported to the state, and if it weren't for the CARES Act, they would not be able to collect unemployment. So we do want you to make sure, and the benefits threshold with a PUA is generally less monetary benefit for a shorter duration of weeks. So we want to make sure that your claim is truly processed, Julie, as an unemployment claim and not a PUA claim. One other issue that come out in California, in Arizona, it's not really an Arizona issue, but Kelly, are you a commuter?
Well, yes, I am. So as being a commuter, I might be a bit of a base hopper. I'm currently on one of our leaves, and during the look back period to determine my eligibility for an unemployment claim, it went back 18 months. In the last 18 months, I was based in Miami, I was based in New York for 1 month, and then I was based in Chicago. So when I was deciding on which state should I file in, because I had the luxury of having 3 to pick from. Florida pays just barely above Arizona. So I know you guys know that Arizona does not pay very well. So if there's any opportunity, you can strike that off the list. That would be wise. So then I'm like, New York pays the best, so I'm gonna file there. So that's what I did, even though I was only based there for 1 month. So what happens on that is if you have had 2 or more base hops, you would pick which state you would like to file in, and then you would file a combined wage claim. That's not anything that you need to change in your initial claim filing. You'll just go ahead and fill it out like normal, and then the states will go and pull your wages. Once they do that, they will send you a monetary determination. This is a very important first piece of your interaction with the state. And that is where they're going to send you paperwork to say, hey, we noticed that you filed this claim. So we looked back over your wages, and they call that your base periods, and they're in quarters, and they pull your wages. If you see any wages missing, let's say you were in Arizona for just a month, and then you went other places, and they didn't capture those Arizona wages, or they didn't capture a different base wage, you would just reach out to David or I at unemployment@apfa.org, and we work with the company to get, it's called a wage push. So that way we can get all of the wages that you earned during that period pushed into the state in which you're filing.
Perfect. Great. Well, thank you for that. Let's get started on these questions and we'll try and get through them. And if we have some other things that pop up along the way, such as, I remember one from the previous, all of our previous, this is what, our 5th town hall, right? One of the most important things I think I learned is to make sure you always certify, right? So we might as well start out right with that right off the bat, Kelly, because I know that's your favorite subject. So why don't you give them a brief overview of why they should always certify?
If there is nothing that you take away from this but one thing, please let it be that you have to certify. As I explained earlier, once you put in your initial claim, you're telling them, I'm in a situation, I need money. Certification is where you say, Mom, I need money. So definitely raise your hand and do that. We haven't seen any lag of processing of claims in Arizona. I know on their website it says it could take them up to 21 days. That's a long time to go without pay. And you may forget to actually certify to tell them that you need money. You have to maintain that certification, even if you're in a stalled out claim, even if you find yourself into a place where benefits have been suspended for inter miscellaneous reason here, you always, always, always certify. That way, once the issue has been corrected, once the claim has been processed, you will get all of that back pay, all of that retro pay that you were eligible for. If you did not certify, they're not going to give it to you. So certify, certify, certify.
Okay, we might hear that one more time today, right? But well, we got it one time so far on this one. Wait a minute, I think you said it 4 times at least. So we'll probably come back to it again at some on one of these questions. All right, let's get started. The first flight attendant who's written in is a furloughed flight attendant. And she says, I am currently receiving retirement pension from a previous airline job. Does that income count against the unemployment? And am I eligible to file for unemployment?
I'll take that, Julie.
Okay.
So this question has come up in many of our town halls, and I think it's important to note that the pension payments received from either carrier, either legacy carrier, LAA or LUS, this is just a separate point, are not deducible from the weekly benefit because they're not from the base period employer. The same is true for this flight attendant who writes in because they are saying they're a previous airline flight attendant from a previous job, right? So do you see the correlation between LAA and LUS? We're both from different legacy carriers as well as this flight attendant. Those pension payments, if they're not from your, this goes for all states if you're just watching this one, pension payments are not from the base period employer, they will not reduce the weekly benefit amount in any of our base states. But they do have to be reported to the state. Each state will be different in that, but they do not reduce the weekly benefit.
Perfect. Thank you.
Can I add to that?
Absolutely.
When you are reporting a pension, be very clear with your communication with the state that the pension you're receiving is not from your base period employer. The states often just say, hey, are you receiving a pension? And they default to, it is your base period employer, which is reducible of your benefits. So ensure that you're very proactive and you tell the state it is not from my base period employer. And don't forget to certify.
.com.
Okay, thank you. Our next question is from a flight attendant who is on a leave of absence. And the question is, what is the current length of benefits? Are new claims eligible for the 39 weeks of COVID CARES unemployment benefits or only for the historic 26 weeks? Kelly, you want to take that one?
Yes, ma'am. So currently, Arizona provides for 26 weeks of unemployment, which you're aware of, as that was part of your question. Under the CARES Act, the federal government will pick up an additional 13 weeks, not to exceed 39 weeks. So you will get the 13 weeks from the federal. Once that has concluded, we're going to need to look and see where you are in that timeline, because everybody's 39 weeks may come up at a different time, right? Because we could have had people with earlier leaves or later leaves. So then if there are any extended benefit programs offered outside of that, be it on a state level or a federal level, It's usually tied to the unemployment rates, whether it be within your state or within the federal government, or the national landscape. So what we would have to do is during that time, just see what is the unemployment rates. You will see that on the website. I will say that the states are very good at saying, hey, here's where we are with our unemployment rates, here's what benefits will be available, or our unemployment rates have sunk down to virtually nothing, so we won't have any extended benefits. So just keep an eye on the website for Arizona. And when you kind of get into those last little bit of your weeks, you'll see what that is. Now, you did mention that the additional 13 weeks, and that's called the PEUC, and that is part of the CARES Act in Arizona. Once you have exhausted the first 26 weeks, that additional 13 weeks will kick in. On the Arizona website, you will need to apply for that because it is fully funded by the federal government. It triggers a secondary application process. If you're eligible for the first one, we haven't seen any issues with any eligibility for the second one. It's just more of a paperwork process. So just be aware there's a little button on the website. It just says apply for PEUC. Once you've extended your first 26 weeks, you'll just click on that button and it'll kick you right into the 13. I miss anything on that, David?
I don't know if it's true for Arizona, but is it that when you exhaust the state benefit, if you have just a few dollars left, it's going to exhaust that state benefit before you can get the full benefit from the PEUC?
That I don't know, because I think once you've fully extended the 26 weeks, you shouldn't have anything left, right? It's on those partial claims that you shouldn't have a little bit of benefit left. But one thing that you did say on that triggered this on my brain, if you are taking a state benefit into a couple days of a week, because your benefit week is 7 days. So let's say the first 2 days are going to be a state benefit and it exhausts them. The federal benefit cannot come into that week and pick it up. So you would only get a partial benefit to close out your state claim. Then the next week you would go fully into your federal claim. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Okay, all right, next question, another flight attendant who's on a leave of absence in Arizona. I'm on a 15-month EVLOA beginning October 1st. Because I am receiving a partial payment, when I filed my claim, I disclosed the amount that I had earned on my paycheck. I knew this would disqualify me for that week's benefit and payout. The form then required me to list the dates and times that I had worked. Not sure how to proceed. I randomly divided up my paid hours over several days. Going forward, what is the proper procedure for addressing days work to coincide with getting paid from AA? David, you want to take that one on?
Sure, and it sounds to me like this flight attendant is doing two parts. It sounds like the initial application filing, and then it sounds like the weekly certification process. So on initial filing, what you disclose to the state is basically what you disclose to the state. What's going to really matter is on the weekly certification, when you get into Arizona or any state, that what you're actually certifying, the wages that you're certifying for. So it says, I randomly divided up my paid hours over several days. So that sounds like initial filing, but in Arizona, because your weekly benefit amount is so low, if you're on any type of leave, STLOA, EVLOA, VOP, PVLOA, sometimes you have to get a little creative. And I think it's very important to know that the company reports those wages to the state on a quarterly basis. So there's no roadmap or rhyme or reason of how you need to do the weekly certifications. As long as at the end of the day, the numbers that you have substantiated with your certifications match what is reported by the company, then you're good. So I'll give you an example. When we're on the PVLOA, at the top of the pay scale in Arizona, if a claimant did 5, 5, 5, 4 for the weekly certifications, then they priced themselves out of the unemployment market because their 5 hours times 68.25 was more than the weekly benefit amount in the state of Arizona. So I think that's very important for this person to remember when they are doing their weekly certification. Did I miss anything on that part?
The only thing I would add is never before have we ever seen an employer pay an employee to stay home. So the unemployment websites were not built for this. And when the unemployment website is challenging you, it's challenging you, how many days did you work and how much did you earn? And we're not working for this money because they're paying us to stay home. However, these are reported earnings, so you have to report them. So how do you work through that? And the various state websites are different. However, you almost have to modify the answer to bring up those nested questions, which is where you can report those earnings. Because if you don't report those earnings, and then they do their audits, and they do a quarterly pull on you, and it's like, you've earned all this money, you've reported nothing, then they're gonna have a problem. And it's gonna trigger a recoupment, which means you get a letter that says, you didn't file correctly, you made all this money, and now you owe us a bunch of money. So we don't want that to happen.
True, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's why it's not important how the claimant does their, just say the weeks are 4 weeks in the month. How you break down the 19, 26, however you break down the hours, as long as the hours match at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Okay, let's move on to the next question. Another flight attendant who's on a leave of absence. How do we determine our last day of work? For example, I was on reserve rotation in February 2020, then on a VLOA in March and April, then, on a VLOA in March and April, and then 12-month PVLOA starting in May.
Okay, so, do you mind if I grab that one, Julie?
No, go ahead.
Okay, so a last day work from an unemployment office asking you that question. For us, it's when was the last time I actually flew? That's what our programming system shows when we pull up our HI-1s in FOSS. Our last day worked is the last time we had feet on property. Unemployment office looks at it differently. They want to know, when was the last day that you were paid for, okay? So I see that you had a reserve rotation in February, so that month was paid for. Then on a VLOA in March and April. So I'm assuming those were unpaid?
Yes.
Unpaid
Yes.
on that. So you would have been eligible to have done unemployment for March and April. So your last day worked would have been the last contractual bid month day in February, because that was when you were reserving getting paid. Once you transition to March, April, unpaid, and then May was your PVLOA.
Okay, next question is from a flight attendant who's on a leave of absence. How would flight attendants who were originally on a PVLOA, just she was on the 12-month PVLOA that started in May, now file for unemployment? How do we address the 19-hour payments, monthly vacation pay, and training pay on the application for Arizona?
That's a very, very busy pay structure thing going on there. Okay, so you were originally on it in May. So you were receiving the 19 hours. So you would have been claiming the 19 hours. And as David had stated, how you claim it, just as long as you claim it. If you claim it all in 1 week, break it down over 4 weeks, every other week, just as long as you claim it, is how you need to do that. As far as vacation pay, that is measured against your unemployment. That is looked as an earning. So that would offset it or cancel it out depending on how much that you received. Training pay, you're actually coming back to property. Your feet are on American Airlines soil and you're getting paid for that. And then you would need to submit your training pay for that. That would be your classroom as well as your WBTs. And all of that would need to be disclosed on your certifications. That I'm so glad you did not forget to do because you were disclosing that, because you know how important certifying is.
Okay, all right. Let's move on to the next question. Okay, this is a flight attendant who's on a leave of absence. She's on an unpaid leave and collected full unemployment insurance. Then on 1 month, she was on the 70-hour VLOA and did not certify as she thought she was not eligible for unemployment insurance. She started her 6-month STLOA October 1st. She's at top pay, and if I divide my earnings by 4 weeks, I am not eligible for unemployment insurance. Many flight attendants in Phoenix are only claiming wages for the week of the 15th and 30th, so no unemployment insurance those weeks. And claiming 0 on the other 2 weeks and receiving unemployment insurance. Is this legal? It looks like that's the end of the question. So, David.
So I'll take this one.
I think I kind of understand if I got through the whole question, what she's asking, yeah.
So Kelly had just recently spoke on nowhere in history has an employer paid employees to stay at home, right?
Right.
So there is no roadmap to how these wages need to be claimed. There's no break it down into 5554 or claim it all in the first week and none in the subsequent 3 weeks. We just say that this is totally up to the claimant. As long as the wages that the claimant reports match what the airline has reported to the state, it doesn't matter if you do 0, 0, 0, 19, if you do 5554, if you do 10 and 9, and the other 2 weeks do 0, 0. It is completely not illegal, but it would make sure that for the weeks that you do, for example, claim 0, that you would receive the state benefit plus any supplemental payments. As long as you've got those hours claimed within that month, there should be no harm.
Right. Perfect.
Can I throw something on that that's not part of this question? Work search. We're gonna touch on work search, if you don't mind.
Okay.
So currently they are suspended in Arizona, but there will be a point when they will not be suspended. So how the work search is going to work, if you are a furloughed flight attendant, or you elected into a leave that has 0 pay, you will have a work search requirement because you are totally unemployed. Now, if you are on a leave that is garnering pay, American reports that as wages to the state, and they report that as reduced hours, how do they do? Reduced hours, it's not lack of work.
Working all available hours.
That's it, thank you. Reduced hours, working all available hours. So because of that coding, you're gonna look like your wages were cut, because they were, because you're only getting 19 or some of the 20s, whichever leave you're on, and you weren't getting that before. So because of that, it is not going to trigger a work search requirement on you. However, if you have 0 pay, it will. So please be aware of that.
Glad you brought that up.
Sorry.
Yep, no, because that has come up in our previous
Yeah.
meetings, so it's good. Let's make sure we touch on those points on everyone, right? Because I know in some states they haven't had to do that, and now all of a sudden, not all of a sudden, but that time is up. So,
Yeah, and Arizona didn't have a definitive end date on it. So just, keep an eye on the website, because you're gonna be going there to certify anyway. So just kind of keep an eye on that, because I wouldn't want someone to end up being disqualified from their claim because they were not able and available because they did not meet the work search requirement.
Great point. Okay, and this is our last question we have here today. This is from a furloughed flight attendant, and this flight attendant would like to know, when can I file since I'm getting severance and since the rules in Arizona are different?
Well, I'll take that question. Severance pay in Arizona it will impact the weekly benefit amount because it will reduce it. We do encourage our claimants, even though Arizona has a quick turnaround processing time from initial filing to receiving your benefits, we do encourage you to go ahead and get your claim in because it could be that for some reason, you never know what could happen. It could stall because of identity or because they need verification. So we do encourage claimants to go ahead and get their application in as soon as possible, even if they are receiving severance pay. For any weeks that a claimant certifies and receives no weekly benefit amount, meaning your weekly benefit amount is 0, it will not count towards the maximum 26 weeks for your annual benefit. Annual benefit maximum.
Okay, thank you. Well, thank you, David and Kelly, for all the great answers today and all your research for all of these answers. And that is all of the questions that we have today for Arizona. Please remember, I'm sure as you're going through this process, you may have more questions. You can always email David and Kelly at unemployment@apfa.org. Also, don't forget all of the resources on the APFA website that we have there for you, especially the state-specific ones, to help you out with any of the other questions you may have. Thank you very much for joining us today, and fly safe. Thank you.
Thank you,
Bye, Phoenix.